Really hoping my camera stays on top of the tripod. Lost a piece to it. Hey guys, so I just kind of wanted to add it in. This is going to go in my next video obviously, but I have like 3 days at the end of the week where I'm doing nothing, and I feel like I kind of fall out of the habit of doing videos when those 3 days happen. So I'm thinking, because nothing happens Sunday, Monday, 2 days I don't do anything, I'm thinking on Sunday I'm just going to do a random video of what I want to do, just anything that I want to do on Sundays, so that I don't fall out of the habit of making videos. So yeah, start looking for some random videos, probably whatever's popular at the time, on Sundays. So yeah. Hey guys, so you may have noticed that I didn't upload a 13 Reasons Why again. Sorry for that. I'm having issues with coming up with ideas for 13 Reasons Why, and I had full intentions of filming last night. I got a little bit of footage of my dirty room, and I was going to talk about, like, you know, what happens when you get depressed and how you can get past it, and not relying on others really for your own happiness. But just didn't happen, and I kind of got into thinking 13 Reasons Why really isn't getting that many views or comments, and it's honestly not my most popular videos that I'm making. Now, I don't have very many followers, subscribers as it is, and I just, you know, I just think that if I'm gonna quit in the middle of making a series, then now would probably be the time. I figured opening up my Saturdays for, like I said in the previous scene, for doing what I want to do personally and just have fun with filming, I feel like that would be better. It would bring in more people who want to follow my channel, and I love you guys to death, and I just want to bring you the best content, and I'm seeing that 13 Reasons Why isn't really bringing in the best content. So we're just gonna go ahead and ex-nay on the whole project, put it on hiatus until further notice, and move into doing different stuff on Saturday. You're still gonna be getting your what's it called, Crazy Love on Tuesdays and your Dread videos on Thursdays, but Saturday we're gonna start doing what I said I was gonna do in the previous scene. So yeah, just thought I would fill you guys in and let you know. I lost my book. Let's hope it's in the car. Maybe you guys are gonna get a car reading today. Oops. Hey guys, my name is Freck. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. It is time for another edition of Versus My Crescent Journey, and I am here to show you, before I get started, the update on the last 3 dreads that I have done. So let me show you the dread that I made 3 weeks ago, my smallest dread. Let me scoot in here. And this is my smallest dread, and it's kind of looking a lot better. Still looks pretty scraggly and fluffy. I feel like I should have gone a little bit further up with the dreading, but it's starting to kind of dread itself at this point. And then as for dread number 2, this is my 2-week-old dread. It's kind of got its own curls going on. That could also be because I've been braiding my hair for work. It's still extremely scraggly. I'm kind of letting it do its thing at this point. but it doesn't have that much of a weird thing going on at the top anymore, as you can see. I mean, it's still kind of bad, but it's kind of still going. And then my third dread is this one here, and it is by far the most curly. It's still kind of just doing its thing. It's attached itself to other pieces of hair that I need to pull out, which I can't do that at the moment. But it's kind of, honestly, in my opinion, the most dreaded. It does that really cool curly thing at the end that I really like. But you know, that's kind of how life goes. So anyway, this is the piece of hair that I'm planning on dreading today. I have no idea, honestly, what I did with the flea comb that I was using. So I'm just gonna kind of go at it with this comb and hope that it does the same thing. And also, I was gonna tell you, I'm not doing the twist and rip method anymore because I found in my last dread that it didn't really work all that well. So what I'm gonna do is the back comb and needle method and see where that goes. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So just a little bit of a heads up, I decided to move my location because doing it right here was not working. My hair's not thick enough at that point. So I decided to move to the top back of my head where my hair is the thickest. And also I decided, instead of going for teasing and using the hook, the crochet hook, that the twist and rip method really does work a lot better, just because, you know, it's easiest to brush out if you happen to screw up, you know. So I mean, I guess there is a plus side to your dread being a lot weaker, and I guess it is gonna strengthen up as time goes on. But yeah, I just kind of thought that it'd be kind of weird for me to be putting in that footage and then the video just stopping and then me showing up randomly to tell you, hey guys, the dread's done, and it's just in a completely different spot. So yeah, just thought I would tell you that and let you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the dread off camera, and then hopefully I'll find some other footage to be able to put in for you guys that's gonna be worthy content of watching. So yeah. Hey guys, so just letting you know that I have officially finished my fourth dread, and just kind of wanted to check in with you and show you how it went. I think the fact that I was able to see what I was doing and actually part it properly had a lot to do with how the top held together on this one. So that's just a heads up. If you can get it parted properly, then get it parted properly. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week and show you how this top dread is doing. And then, yeah, see you guys for whatever my next video happens to be. Alright, bye! Guys, so, I really didn't record much in terms of like a vlog for this video, and I know I'm a day late. I'm always a day late. What do you expect? And I missed 2 videos last week. Hopefully everything that went into this video is explained, but I just kind of wanted to like add a story time or something on top of my dread video, so that you guys get like bored with my videos or whatever. I don't know why I would think that you would get bored with them, but just a little update. Next week I will be having another person added into the video. my coworker actually, and she asked me to do some dreads for her. So be excited, that's coming up hopefully next week. I shouldn't say that it will be next week, but hopefully next week it will be coming in the near future. So anyway, I'm going to tell a story time about how I found out that I have scoliosis and my surgery process and what I went through and how I live my life today. When I was about 13, I was at the doctor's and my mom had concerns that she was saying that like one hip was higher than the other. Even now you can see like this hip is still higher than the other. And the doctor had me put on this like big long tubular like cloth or whatever so that we could see my curves a little bit easier. They were all joking and everything, well now we know how good you're gonna look during your prom or whatever, and haha mom, haha, I'm 13 years old. But the doctor had me put on this cloth thing and he told me that he does see what's going on and that he wants me to be able to wear a back brace. So a back brace is like this molding of like your body and the shape that your body is in. So for instance, this hip is higher and this shoulder is higher, I should say. And so like basically what he does is he takes a molding of your body and it hardens around you so that he has it, and then he reverses it so that this shoulder is higher and this hip is higher. I can't really do it because my spine's fused, but you get the gist. So of course, being a 13-year-old girl, I chose the pink brace because I think pink is pretty at the time. So yeah. And then like the doctor tells me that he only wants me to wear it while I'm sleeping so that, you know, eventually over time my body will, you know, be able to switch its way around and everything. And at the time I didn't know about chiropractors and I didn't know about yoga and the benefits of physical activity. And I mean, of course I was just barely getting into physical activity. I was on the dance team my entire life, and I just recently started really getting into track. I had played basketball for a little while, and when I was really young I played soccer. So I mean, physical activity has kind of really always been a part of my life. Of course, like, I can also be a really extremely lazy person, hence the state of my room right now and why I'm filming over here instead of on my desk. But yeah. Anyway, so like, this being a problem, my parents had split up just barely before I found out that I had scoliosis. So my mom was in California. We got this mold and, you know, during a vacation to see my mom at the time. And she sent me back with this mold and told me that I have to wear it on a nightly basis. And, you know, a little kid being a little kid, you really don't know what to do when one parent says one thing and another parent says the other thing. So, you know, my dad being in charge and, you know, having custody of me, my little kid brain found it logical to listen to what he had to say. And this is one of the things that the courts found as neglect and why my mom was given custody. My dad had said, oh, if it messes with your sleeping pattern, then don't do it. And that's basically what happened. Is I found that I couldn't sleep at night because of this back brace. It hurt so much, and I stopped wearing it because Dad told me to stop wearing it, you know. And that was only one of the many things that the courts found as neglect. Obviously, that by itself would be like, what? But there's so much more, and I can tell that story in a future video if you would really want to hear it. Hold on a second, I'm going to turn off my heater because it's hot. What can I say? So eventually, like, my mom wins custody and I start to go live with my mom and everything, and we go get another evaluation by the same doctor. And this doctor says to me that it's gotten to a point where I need to have surgery. And it's not just I need a few vertebrae fused, but I need my entire spine fused. I need from T2 to L1. So that is the very top of my thoracic spine down to the very top of my lumbar spine. And that is 11 or 12 vertebrae, I'm not going to do the math right now, that are completely fused. And that's a lot, considering that part of your spine is the most flexible part of your spine. So you don't have much movement in the neck, and you don't have much movement in the lower back. So, I mean, I don't have much movement as it is. Like, I've learned over time how to be able to move my lower back, and I'm still learning how to move my neck a little bit more. But most people have the capability of moving this entire part of their body, and I don't. And that was quite the process to learn how. Anyway, I'll talk about that when we get there. So my doctor tells me that I have to get surgery. And of course, I go home and I'm crying. You know, I'm this 13, 14-year-old girl, and maybe I was even 15 at this time, because it takes a long time for the courts to gain access, or for the courts to do their thing, and my mom to have custody is what I should say. And so, you know, I go home from that day at the doctor's, and I'm outside playing in the camper with my cousins, and I just start crying. And you know, my cousin has my other cousin come out. It's so weird to say, I should just give them names, but I'm not going to, because this is like the only time I talk about them. Anyway, so the younger cousin has the older cousin come out, and she comes to talk to me. She tells me that, like, she was diagnosed with basically scoliosis as well, whatever the opposite of it is, where she has like a huge S-curve front to back instead of side to side. And she says that she turned out fine, it's not been an issue for her, and she knows that mine is worse and that I have to get surgery to have it fused to stop the progression of it, and yada yada, you know. So I mean, that obviously made me feel better. Now, the issue is my mom had to come up with a way to be able to pay for this surgery for me. So, I mean, she got on, I think it was Medi-Cal, might have been Medicaid, but I'm pretty sure it was Medi-Cal. I think that one was the better one. And Medi-Cal surprisingly paid for all of it. Every last cent of the surgery, it paid for everything. And it's a pretty expensive, pretty big surgery to be paying for. So anyway, I go in for the surgery. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I haven't ever had surgery in my life, not even like mouth surgery or like what's considered a minor surgery or whatever. And, I don't even know where I had left off. Oh yeah, so I hadn't ever had any type of surgery, not even a minor surgery. So, basically, I go into the surgery, everything's fine, but the weird part of it is that something about the anesthesia or the medication that I was on made me forget a lot that the doctor had told me. So, that being said, I didn't remember that the doctor had told me that my spine was going to be fused. I remembered that I had come out of surgery, and I remembered after surgery waking up for a split moment to see an ad on the ceiling that was like an Underdog ad. That's when Underdog came to theaters. That was a long time ago, so that just shows how old I am. And I remember seeing an Underdog ad on the ceiling, waking up after surgery, and looking over at my mom and going, oh, Underdog, I want to see that movie. And that was it. I was out, you know what I mean? So it was just kind of crazy, you know, the very little that I remembered that was completely irrelevant to the fact that I had just gotten surgery. And looking back on it, I think when I was looking at the Underdog ad, I didn't realize that I had already gotten surgery at that point. So that was a little bit strange for me to think about. But my mom claims I did, you know, so I'm going to believe her over what I know, because I know that surgery just makes you completely delusional after you get out of surgery. So yeah. And just basically like living with a fused spine for the rest of my life, learning that my spine was fused and that I would never ever have that movement again was just really hard on me. And I had to learn to be able to sit up out of bed again. And I had to learn how to walk because, mind you, straightening my spine in surgery made me at least 1.5 inches taller than I was. I am 6.5 now. And I was like 5'4" before I went into surgery. And that just, even just that 1.5 inches made me feel so much taller standing up for the first time. And I just remember feeling like I was a tower, like I just was so much taller, like I was gonna fall over, like, you know, I was swaying in the wind, if you know what I'm talking about. And I was just learning so much over again. And that was ultimately the hardest part about it. And to this day, 10, 11 years later, yeah, because I'm 26 and I got it when I was 15. 11 years later, I am still learning how to live like this. Because, mind you, for 15 years of my life, I lived without a fused spine. I was flexible. I was doing wheel pose without any issues, and I was able to do all sorts of yoga poses and be able to get into these huge back bends. I was even to the point where I could go into wheel standing up, you know what I mean? And now here I was with completely fused spine and I can't even do wheel pose at all. And it was just complicated learning how to live like that. For the longest time ever, I had my friend come over and help me stand up, because hanging out at school, we would hang out and sit on the floor or whatever, and my friend would come over and he'd offer his hand to me and help me stand up, and it was just the hardest thing ever in my life. And then, one day, I tried yoga for the first time. Fully knowing that I was doing yoga, I should say. I mean, we all do a little bit of yoga here and there throughout our lives, but what I mean is fully knowing that I was doing yoga, or asana, if you will, for the first time. And I was taking aerobics because I didn't want to do sports. I wanted to do other types of physical activity. So I was taking aerobics, and we did yoga one day in this aerobics class, and we did meditation one day in this aerobics class, and I realized how much I loved it. But me being a 15-year-old girl, I did not realize that I had the capability of still continuing this practice. And on top of that, how was I supposed to continue this practice without a teacher? My mom wasn't about to pay for it, you know. She was a Christian, and she didn't want me to get into the spiritual aspect of it. I mean, I completely understand, because she's a mother, and technically I'm supposed to listen to what she does, so I didn't get to continue with my yoga. And now I would just do yoga whenever we had yoga planned, hoping that today would be the day that we do more yoga, hoping that today would be the day that we do more meditation, you know what I mean? And eventually that came and gone, and I continued with school, and I took beginning ballet my senior year, which actually like really opened up my tight hamstrings, and I have extremely tight hamstrings as it is, so the fact that my hamstrings even opened up whatsoever was huge to me, because I was always like a runner, and I was always doing soccer, and I always sat around because I'm lazy and this and that. So dance was huge for me, and the fact that my hamstrings opened up was huge for me, and I loved it. But I did not continue with dance after I left high school. So, that being said, eventually I got a job at Pavilions or Safeway, depending on where you live. I was specifically at a Pavilion store, have worked at a few Vaughn's, or whatever you want to call it. And that ultimately started my career in the grocery industry. And I also was out on my own at this time, and I was able to practice yoga on my own. Picked up yoga DVDs to be able to practice. Obviously now I know better than to follow a yoga DVD or a video on YouTube or whatever, because you want an in-person teacher so that they know if you're following the cues properly. Now I know what cue is what, and I can pretty much follow via YouTube or video or whatever, but as a first timer, you should never ever follow YouTube videos, ever. And I know that now, but this is where I like picked up a video or whatever and like played it at home and started doing yoga a lot more. I was practicing guided meditation and was, you know, eventually able to sit and actually meditate and do what I was supposed to do. And like eventually got to a point where I wanted to go to a studio. Now at this point, I had already gotten a job at a health food grocery store. And so that started my career in the health industry. And this is where I decided that I wanted to go to a yoga studio, an actual yoga studio. And I fell in love. My first day actually doing yoga under a teacher's wing, I came home sore for the first time ever doing yoga. And I was happy. And I was sattvic. I was the opposite end of the emotional spectrum than when I walked into that studio. And that was just so strange in a good way, if you know what I mean. And it was nice. And then eventually, after about a month of doing yoga at a studio, I saw that teacher training was coming up with Tiffany Russo. And yes, I'm saying her real name because she is one of Annie Carpenter's favorite students, and she was recently on the cover of Yoga Journal. So to say that I was taught by Tiffany Russo is an honor to me. And teacher training in general is just, it's a whole nother story. Just eventually I'm going to have to tell you that too. But, I mean, in this teacher training where I was taught by Tiffany Russo, she knew about my back problems and how I had scoliosis. And at the time, this was the only medical issue that I knew about. And she saw that my shoulders were different, even though my spine was mostly fused. And she saw the progression happening in my upper back and my lower spine. And I didn't realize that the progression was still happening in the vertebra that wasn't fused. And she started working on it with me, and she started noticing, you know, when I'm in Warrior, how, you know, turned out my hip was. And she started noticing how my shoulders were up when I was in Warrior 1, and she started moving them down. Eventually, I found the spot in between that was good and that was happening. And she started to notice how when I'm in any pose, I was always looking off to the side like this. And she started telling me that I need to try looking this way for a while. And then eventually I need to force myself to look forward. And it's those little things why I am where I am now. And why it's not as big of a noticeable thing. that one hip is higher than the other, and one shoulder is higher than the other. And it's why I'm so emotional, and it's why I'm happy that I got to where I am today. So, that being said, the only thing that I hope that you get out of this video is that I changed at least one person's life today. That you heard my story and that you got inspiration, not to do yoga or whatever, but to do what you know you are supposed to do in life. And I know that I'm supposed to not only be a yoga instructor, but I'm supposed to help out those who are disabled. I'm supposed to help out those who have had surgery and need somebody to be able to help them get better. And I'm supposed to help those work on certain parts of the body. I can't get into the yoga terminology right now because I don't think that everybody is going to completely understand me. But certain muscles in the body that are specifically pertain to endometrioma and endometriosis and endo in general. Like muscles down here, the muscle that's actually down underneath here. And, you know, your ab muscles and pretty much anything in your... Sorry, I totally thought that my camera had turned off on me. Anyway, muscles that are in your middle abdomen. And that's all I hope that you guys get out of this today from this story time. I just really wanted to tell you that story because I didn't think that it was going to be that interesting, but I ended up feeling it like it was the most heartfelt story time that I have told yet. And I am so glad that I got to tell that to you and get that off my chest. If you really like this video, comment down below, you know, let me know that you liked it. And, you know, give it a big thumbs up because it helps me out a lot. It lets me know that you like this kind of thing. You know, take a bite out of that moon and become a member of the Crescent family. Hit that subscribe button down below. And don't forget to kiss that bell icon, turn on post notifications, because YouTube does this weird thing where, like, if you don't hit that bell icon, it won't inform you every time I upload, and if you want to see me upload, then you need to have it on. So yeah, turn it on, just for your own benefit, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye!